is Dr. Josh Omandi, and today we're going to discuss about the new Kenyan national education system. Kenya is changing the new system again. It's changing its education system. It must be the fastest growing country in Africa because it has changed its education system several times. And that is worrying. At independence, Kenya had an education system which was the British education system for the colonists. Then, which they adopted. And then, in 1967, they adopted the education system we called 7423 system, which was for East African community, both Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. The system was for all East African community, and we were having examination like East African Certificate of Primary Education, East African Certificate of Education, and East African Advanced Certificate of Education. Then in 1977, after the collapse of the East African community, Kenya adopted its own system, the 7423 system. Or they changed this examination. It remained the same things, but the examination, instead of now doing the East African examination, they were now doing the examination for Kenyan alone, which it ushered in CPE. It ushered in CPE, KCE, and the KSC. That ran up to 1984, and in 1985 we ushered a new system, 844 system. 8 years in primary, 4 years in high school, and 4 years in university. Now there is a new system coming, 26333. So 2 years in pre-primary, 6 years in primary, 3 years in junior secondary, 3 years in senior secondary, and 3 years in university. What is all these numbers? Kenya is the only country which has changed that. Uganda has remained with that old system. Tanzania the same. What is happening with Kenya? Why is Kenya changing the system quite often? You know, we have had education commissions in Kenya. Many of them at independence in 1964, we had the notorious Ominde Commission, which established, it was established for colonial education reforms. It eventually served to mobilize human resources to achieve national development, which is okay. Then in 1976, we had the Gachati report. This was to redefine vocational policies and the cultural aspiration and some socio-economic development of the country. Then in 1981, we had the Mackay report. All what the Mackay report did was to change the education system and abolish the A-level education system, and then ushered in the 844 system, and also commissioned the establishment of a new university, which was Moi University. Then we had the Kamunge report of 1988, and we had the Koech report. So all these commissions have said, and they have come up with something new, and now we are having a new system. Why the new system? When we ushered in a 844 system, it was to solve all our problems. Because from pre-primary, 8 years in primary education, then from primary education, those who did not qualify to go to secondary were supposed to go to arts and programs, like Juakari training, and then those who went to secondary, they will pass exam, then they go to university education. Those who do not pass, they can go to diploma training programs, and some go for craft training. It was supposed to develop technologically advanced population. So, then what happened? It was amazing that we had this system, and then the system didn't work for us. And why it did not work? It had all of the colorful things to work, but we were supposed to have people go to secondary school, and from secondary school, they were supposed to go to technical schools and polytechnics. That was what 844 promised. Then we could have people who become entrepreneurs, who would be employed, and then there will be economic growth. We thought the system was going to work. Then what happened that now we are changing to another system? Well, according to the Continental Education Strategy for Africa 2016-2025, it says that the guiding principles of the Continental Education Strategy is to establish a holistic, inclusive, and equitable education as a core for sustainable development. And from here, we were supposed to develop scientifically and technologically advanced people who are supposed to be creative and who are supposed to be entrepreneurs. Even after passing this, I thought that Kenya was already in that game. So it's quite absurd that we are still talking of changing the system to align with that. If I can look at how this education system, Kenya was already there to achieve the African goal. Now, this new education system 2633, it also has come with these packages and promising a lot, more especially that going through pre-primary education and lower primary, then we have upper primary and the lower secondary, which is called junior, which is supposed to be called middle school education. From here, that when people are going to senior high school, they will be specializing. So it is like the old A-level system. This is where people will specialize on arts, some will go on science. So it's going to arts, sports and science, social sciences and STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I thought this is what our 844 system was. And then they will go to tertiary education and training, and some will go to university. So what is the difference? This 266 is borrowed from Japan. But Japan has had this education system, the 633 system, since 1945. Japan has not changed this education system. But is there anything different? 633 system in Japan? They have only been modifying it a few things here and there. Why is it that Kenya is rushing to change the system? We jumped from what we had to the American system. Now we want to go to the East. Is there something wrong with us? Simply this is, I did thinking that now with ushering this constitution, we are going just to be like Japan. It beats reason here. Because that is what Japan does, is that 6 years in elementary education, then 3 years in lower secondary, and 3 years in upper secondary, then go to university. But that is a system they have adopted for all of this long. But for us, we have failed to achieve this for a long time. It's quite amazing. But it's the same system that we are gobbling with. If you compare the new education system and the one for Japan, is equal to the same as you can see on the graph there. It's the same. Now, I just want to give my take. We do not need a new education system because it is a wastage of time and resources. Changing the education system, it takes a lot of money to train people, to bring new materials, getting a new syllabus. That is all it needed was few modifications. The system needed only few modifications. And my take is, what could have been best to do, it is to really revise the current education system and ask why they need to produce the technologies, the technicians we wanted, the entrepreneurs we wanted. And then we could have improved. For example, Egerton University was supposed to be an agricultural college. But if you look at Egerton University, it has actually produced more graduates in arts and other general subjects than agriculture. Even the graduates from those universities, they don't get employment. So we need to put our money in developing the marketplace, to develop industries, so that the people who come from agriculture, they should have agricultural research center where they are working or where they are being employed to put these best practices so that we can produce agriculture. Right now we are crying we don't have enough maize. Then what would these people be doing? And then we have all these people we have trained in universities in agriculture, and we are missing the food. That is quite absurd. So what we need to align is our education and the industries. I would recommend that if we could have put all this money we are wasting in putting a new system, that we enact a policy that every constituency to build a technical college, a college at least which, if there are people like in Rift Valley where most agriculture is done, let us have an agricultural college. And we want those graduates, before they graduate, they show us that they work in the community, they go and improve the community. Like graduates, they need to go and work with farmers as interns to increase agricultural productivity. That one we could have made a difference. For example, this is what happened in the 1860s, 1850s in America. Most of America was agricultural, and they needed people to improve agriculture. So what they did, and in 1862, President Lincoln signed into law the Maury Land Grant Act, which actually gave each state representative was given 30,000 acres of federal land to finance the building of schools which are teaching agriculture and mechanics. That is when you hear many schools called A and M. That is schools which were teaching agriculture and engineering mechanics. So when they developed these schools, like Cornell University came out of there, Purdue University, Ohio State University, University of Wisconsin, they came out of that because they were funded to teach agriculture, because agriculture was the mainstay of the United States of America and mechanics. And these are the people who went ahead to develop good agricultural methods. These are the people, mechanics, who developed tractors, who developed agricultural equipments, which made it easier for agriculture to be mechanized. And it is the one which made America develop, because of this Maury Land Act of 1860s. That's where we have these great universities, where they came from. They emphasize in engineering, instead of us now producing graduates which can't get a job. For example, Moi University started a department of forestry. People graduated with that. We thought they were going to save our forests. What happened? They lacked. There was nowhere they were being employed. So how can we train people when we don't have where it goes? So really, if we have to fight this education system, we need to change. Instead of changing these numbers to 844, 2633, it doesn't make sense. We need to sit down and enact a law whereby we align our education and the industry, and then that's when the country can grow, instead of what we are doing here, that we have to change the system. Even if we change the system, no matter how beautiful it looks, still we are going to produce people who are not going to be employed, because there is nowhere they are going to be employed. That's my take.